Sponsored by Zentavos. Keep more of your money.
Welcome back to Ask Sloan, everybody. I'm Sloan.
I'm Ben.
Happy Friday.
What's up, man? How are you? How you feeling?
I am very overwhelmed these days.
Very overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Tell me about what's been on your mind lately.
There are too many things on my mind. I mean, it's just I'm just trying to, continue to develop Zentavos and transition from working with clients to working on the technology and on the development of the business. So just kind of a little transitionary phase, coming out with our beta MVP and then doing a big, transition from client work to the business. There's just a lot. There's a lot going on right now. So
When you're under trial and you have a lot of things going on, do you ever get to a point where you call yourself into question, where you're like looking at yourself and you're like, man, am I really capable of doing what I think I can do?
okay, so that's very specific, right? Am I really capable of doing what I'm trying to do? Is that
Yeah.
that's what we're saying? So self doubt.
Yes, essentially. You ever deal with self-doubt?
So I would say that self doubt is something that everyone deals with. The question is where does it come from,
Okay.
right? So, and then whether do you dwell on it? Do you like sit in it? You know, I believe that feelings are the taste buds of life, right?
Interesting.
So if you think about it, when like you eat something, you taste it, and then at some point you stop tasting it.
So does that mean you stop feeling?
Well, you do. I mean, you do stop feeling like you're angry, and then you stop being angry,
Okay.
right? You're excited, and then you stop being excited. You know, like you do. You have an emotion, and then you stop. And you may revisit it, but you don't live in that emotion. You continue to do these things. So self doubt is an emotion. It could be emotion of guilt. It could be emotion of shame. It could be an emotion of um, anxiety.
Yeah.
It could be like lots of different emotions. So where's that coming from? Like, so I don't think that self doubt comes from within me, right? I think self doubt comes from external stimulus, external circumstances. Self doubt can come from a buddy telling you he thinks your idea is crap.
Mm.
Did that come from me? No, that came from a buddy telling me my idea is crap,
Yeah.
right?
It's like a seed he tried to plant in your mind.
Yeah, or maybe he's just trying to protect me from a terrible idea. I mean, who
Yeah.
knows? Like, good intentions pave the road to hell, right? But so I think the answer is, yeah, I deal with self doubt, but not generally around capability. Um, and the reason why is I believe that I'm capable of learning what I need to learn to do what I'm trying to do. Like I don't have any misconceptions about what's necessary for capability, right? Um, some of the richest people in the world and the most advanced, you know, entrepreneurs in the world dropped out of college
Yeah.
or didn't even go, you know. Einstein failed fifth grade. I mean, there's all these different, you know what I mean? Like whatever, It's really more for me, it's about like figuring out what am I really good at and like doing that really well. And how do I use what that is to accomplish my goals? And then whatever I'm not good at, how do I find people that are great at that? Jeff Bezos would tell you like he surrounded himself with incredible minds and people. And is he really smart? Sure is, but it takes a team. And so he put together a great team and they did great things.
So, and I think this is a question I've been pondering myself. How do you deal with external stimuli um, that haven't necessarily been conducive to your growth? Whether it's, a voice of a friend, a voice of a loved one, a voice of a colleague, people that tell you things that are difficult to hear, but you can't let it necessarily hinder you from your purpose. Um, how do you just deal with so many external factors and continue to move forward?
How often are you doing an inventory of those things? How often are you identifying the messages that are coming in, your inputs versus your outputs? How often are you reorganizing your priorities? I mean, for me, like I've had that. Like I've had a friend tell me that I wasn't, that something I was trying to do wasn't that great. Was not gonna work,
Is he still
right?
your friend?
Yeah, he is. He is still my friend. And I had to think about that. Did it hurt my feelings? Like I really wanted his encouragement and excitement, and he did not give me that. And but that was my desire for validation, right? That was my desire for, you know, great job, or whatever. But his desire was to be honest, right? With his perspective and help me, you know, with that perspective, if you will, right? So the question is I stopped doing what I was doing because of that. Like it took the wind out of my sails and I stopped doing it. Okay. But looking at it, okay, it caused me to take another look at it. So what you're trying to avoid is that discouragement actually disrupts you from real achievement, right? Like you're asking me, how do you get rid of toxic? How do you get rid of the noise? How do you get rid of
Yeah. How
things
do
that
you
are
deal with the
how
noise?
do you how do you even deal with the noise, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So the first thing I'm trying to identify is it noise? Or is there something I really need to look at? Like I don't want a bunch of yes men,
Around you. Yeah, of
but at the
course.
same time, like I also want to build what I'm building, you know?
Yeah.
So so I think it's just difficult, but I think the steps are just to continue to analyze that situation, For that particular deal, it's like, hey, is his messaging coming from a place of love or a place of truth or whatever? Is he just being a dick or like, what is the scenario? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
what is that? And then is there any validity to what he's saying? Okay. Is there some substance there that I need to pay attention to? Right.
So
Okay.
you mentioned like taking inventory though. Like what does that mean?
Well, it's probably a term that I learned from AA or whatever, but like taking an inventory is really, in my opinion, addressing your balance, right? Beliefs, values, attitudes, thoughts, feelings, actions. Am I in balance? Am I my best self? Are the relationships that I'm cultivating the ones that I need to get where I'm going, right? Um, are my priorities going to achieve something I learned from Tony Robbins was really kind of looking at that hey, I can only do 6 things in a day, really, like really accomplish like 6 things. And so like really what are like the top 3 things that if I get those things done today, then the big things will get done in the long run, right? It's like doing the most important things first when you're fresh, when you're ready, when you can make that happen and then doing the other things after that. Okay. And then some things don't end up needing to get done. And then other things like get done because you did the big things that needed to be done. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
making sure that you're focused on the thing that is going to achieve the results that you're looking for and identifying what's just noise.
As you work on these different ventures, do you ever find that they lose their luster? You see, when you first start something and you're super excited and you're like, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna give it my 100%. Like, I've had people talk to me about, like, hey, I wanna get better about my fitness. Um, I even had somebody reach out to me and say, like, I wanna, share like my testimony, right? I've had people say things like, I really wanna, pursue a better education. Um, but what I find and what I found in the past is that after a while, these people kind of like wither away from that primary goal that they set, myself included. Like one time I was trying to learn the guitar, for example, and I was doing all the things, and you approach kind of that J curve, but once it starts to kind of lose its luster, sometimes you kind of let it go. How do you prevent it from like losing its luster and you continuing in that trajectory to eventually reach your goal?
Well, in my opinion, that's about passion.
Mm.
What do you really want? See, I believe that people do what they want to do. And I mean, I'm gonna say that again because I think it's a very difficult concept to understand. People only do what they want to do. Now, you listen to people; they'll tell you that they're doing a whole bunch of stuff they don't want to do. But have you ever tried to get somebody to do something they don't want to do?
Yes.
And how easy is that?
Not easy at all.
People do not do what they don't want to do. Period. I don't want to do it. I ain't doing it. Like that's it. Like so, people only do what they want to do. Now, if they're doing something they'd rather not be doing, there's a reason they want to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and sometimes like it's like, hey, I want to do this because I don't want this to happen. Now, I'm going to tell you I don't want to do this because the truth is I just don't want this to happen. I don't really want to do this. But that psychology is wrong. That psychology keeps me in a feeling position of misery. I'm doing this and I don't want to do it, so I'm miserable. But the truth is I don't want this to happen. So I'm doing this because I want to do this because I don't want this to happen. I'm perfectly happy doing this because it will make sure that this doesn't happen. And that's what I don't want. That psychology is joy.
You see, I think that I agree with you, right? I think that the thing is sometimes because of internal conflicts, people deceive themselves.
Sometimes.
Well, a lot of the time, most of the time, I would even say, right? Um, and so what happens when they deceive themselves is that they are walking in a path that they may know doesn't really lead anywhere, but they think that if they continue to walk that path, it's going to be better than the pivot that is uncertain, right? And so what happens is that they say, okay,
You're really talking about fear. You're saying that, hey, I'm gonna keep doing this because I'm afraid of
of the other
of
thing,
the
yeah.
alternative. Right.
And
That's
that's what a lot of people do, right? And it could be something as
yeah,
simple as
yeah.
like, I'm gonna get better with my health habits, right? Like, it,
Well, each thing has its own thing. Okay.
yeah.
So like working out, bro. Working out is hard. Okay. Like you either develop like it's either something that's really important to you and you develop a habit around it. Because anybody that I know that's chiseled like yourself will tell you, hey, I don't always want to go to the gym, but I have to if I want to continue to have what I have. Like it's important to me. So I go when I don't want to go. So then back to me saying, well, you want to go like because you want the results that you're getting, right? So the person who quits is someone who A hasn't seen results that are inspiring enough to keep them in the game. Okay. When I was growing up, my mom wanted me to learn a bunch of different stuff, piano, typing, so on and so forth, right? And some stuff like I was good at. And because I was good at it, I liked doing it. And so I wanted to do more of it. But the things that I didn't feel good at, that I didn't progress as fast, that wasn't like the practice wasn't enjoyable, like you know what I mean? Like it was just too much. Like what for whatever reason, like piano was like that for me. I was pretty good at the piano, but like I just didn't. I wanted to be great at the piano, and I wasn't great at the piano, and it was going to take years to become great at the piano. I'm looking at 10 years of having to do this every day for an hour a day, and I just would rather do something else.
But I also think that passion only takes you so far.
Well,
It,
no, because true passion drives you. It's not you're talking about like fleeting passion. Like, man, like what I'm saying. Like, I would love to be able to sit down on the piano and play and just play it. Okay, but do I want to go through the effort that it takes to be able to do that? I do not. I'm not passionate enough about being a virtuoso to do that work. To achieve anything, you have to do a lot of work.
so then where does the passion derive from then?
I mean, it really depends. If your passion, like, because some people's different stuff. Like, hey, I'm passionate about making money. Great, but if anybody's like anybody who's passionate about making money, they'll tell you like once you have a lot of money, you're not like you like it's over. that passion dies, and then you're alone and sad and whatever. Like it really kind of matters. Like we were talking about in our last episode, like starting a business, you're looking for profit so that you can provide for your family,
Yeah.
right? Okay, or so you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. You can make movies or do this or whatever, right? But to make money for the sake of making money isn't most people. That doesn't just generally it doesn't work. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what? So your question is why do people stop? Why do people like come up with these goals and then stop doing it? And the truth is that the effort that it takes to accomplish the goal is greater than their passion to turn it into a habit and make it happen.
Yeah.
Period. In my opinion.
Yeah. I was funny enough, I was talking to one of my tailors, right? And he was essentially telling me how passion derives from purpose and that a lot of people don't have purpose,
Okay.
right? And
I
so
think
they do things
that's
that are
I
purposeless.
think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think that's brilliant. Where do you think that comes from? The
Purpose,
well, the lack thereof.
knowing oneself. I think it's difficult when people
So
don't know themselves
so
because they
you
don't know what their purpose
so
is.
you think you're created with purpose and that's something that you just innately understand once you know yourself?
I think that we have, well, that brings me to like purpose and calling, right? I think we all have the same purpose, but we all have a different calling.
Well, are you drilling down into a singularity of purpose? Okay. Or are you saying because we're not all bus drivers? I mean, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
if we believe that the bus drivers, that's their purpose is to drive a bus, right? We're not all that, right?
Yeah.
But I believe in that we all have a purpose in glorifying God, okay? But I think that purpose is lived out in our life regardless, right? That's just
Yeah.
a part of creation. Um, I think that the whole journey to find oneself, right, and not recognizing purpose, um, yeah, I think that's like probably a lifelong thing. Some people just know, like this is what I was born to do, and they just know, and
But don't,
other people don't.
but don't you think that what you're doing is just a conduit for living in your calling? It's just like,
Only certain people believe that they have a calling and know what it is. I wouldn't consider that a very large part of the population. Just like your friend who said that most people are living without purpose. I think it's a very similar thing, but I do think those two things are different, right? Like, what's your calling?
that's a very, very good question, and one that I've been trying to figure out, particularly in the last month or so,
So,
because
so I would argue that you don't have to figure out calling. That's what it is. It's a calling. So there's nothing to figure out. It's not even from you. So how can you figure it out?
I don't know.
Right?
That's
You
the
can't,
case.
like, in my opinion, you can't. Like, a calling is, hey, I'm calling you as an example. Most people who use that word calling, it's really about ministry. Okay. I'm being called to the ministry. The Lord is calling me to the ministry. Like that's the majority of what you hear for that. Okay. Now you can attach that to, hey, I just know I'm supposed to be a nurse, right? Like I know that. Like I want to care. Patient care is like my thing, like I just
Well, but
right.
then if you think about it, like let's if that's the case, if we take it to like David, for example, he was a shepherd, right?
Okay.
And he knew that he was called to be a king.
Yeah, but he was told that. He didn't have to figure that out.
That's true.
He was literally poured oil over his head, and Samuel said, "Hey, you're going to be the king of Israel."
So do
Okay,
you think
like
that we all just need to wait for the calling then?
if you're waiting for a calling, I think you need to ask for it. Okay, what did Eli tell Samuel?
Eli?
Eli, what did Eli tell Samuel?
I'm not sure.
So Samuel heard his name. He was sleeping like a baby, and he heard his name, Samuel, and he went running over to Eli. Eli was the high priest. I'll tell you the whole backstory if you want it later. But
Elijah or
Eli,
Elisha?
no, Eli.
Eli.
Yeah. So Eli said, "Hey," and Samuel's like Eli, Eli, what? Like you called me, And he's like, "No, I didn't call you, boy. Like go back to bed. Like, it's probably just a dream." Then he hears it again, Samuel, And he runs over to Eli, and Eli's like, "Nah, I didn't call you. Go back to bed. It's probably just a dream." And then he goes back to bed and he hears again, "Samuel." And the third time, Eli's like, "No, this has got to be the Lord. I don't know how I missed that, but next time say, 'Speak, Lord, for your servant listens.'" And then he goes back to bed, and then the Lord says, "Samuel," and he says, "Speak, Lord, for the servant listens." And the Lord gave him a message, and it was like a major message about Eli and how he was going to take the high priest position from Eli, not pass it to his sons, and give it to Samuel. So
Oh,
Samuel's calling was to be the next high priest. How did that calling happen? First, his mother was blessed with childbirth because she was barren. Second, she was told by the angel to basically give him to Eli, give him to the temple, right? Give him to God. And she did that. When he turned 12 years old, she brought him to Eli, and he trained under Eli, and then Eli's sons were who were wicked were they were, I don't really
they died,
they
right? They
died,
got
they got
killed.
killed, whatever. So when Eli passed, then Samuel became the high priest. And that's how that happened. And that's a calling. Samuel didn't have to figure that out. There was no like search or anything. It was like this was ordained. This is what happened. Same thing with David. He was like what were his brothers calling? Right? Well, like Joseph had a calling, and he was told what that calling was in a dream when he was a boy, but he didn't understand it until he was like, you know what I mean? Like, in my opinion, a calling is not, I don't know that all of us have a calling, however you want to define that. But if you feel like you have a calling, I would suggest you ask for it because it doesn't come from within. Purpose. I do agree with you that purpose is about knowing who you are and doing that. I'm not a piano player, and I'm okay with that. But if I wallow in the fact that I quit piano and I could have been such a great pianist and like why am I miserable? Because my attitude is what I mean, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
find out what you're good at. Like be yourself for sure. To thine own self be true, right? Like be true to yourself, but also become your best self. Like be true to yourself and like take care of yourself and like like I also don't agree with like, "Hey, I do drugs, so I should be a drug addict."
Yeah.
I mean, like, no, I should stop doing drugs and be healthy. Like, hey, what are the things about me that I need to change to be my best self?
What are the things about me that I need to change to be my best self?
Mhm,
Yeah. I think that that is a major key right there because
mhm.
I think a lot of people kind of run from the things that they need to change about themselves as well.
Well, the question is, are you thinking about those things? So I came up in obviously punishment and then sales training. Okay, sales training has a lot to do with psychology. So I spent a better part of 2 decades just learning psychology, right? And for me, like that was super helpful because I had all these questions too, like who am I and what am I gonna like all that
Yeah.
stuff, you know what I mean? But then the more mature I got and the more like I really learned about psychology, like it's not about this thing happening to me. It's really a whole lot more about me taking control of this thing and making it happen. That's why my mantra is make it happen. Like it's not gonna happen if I don't make it happen you know let's go back to your analogy about working out. Like I'm really trying to get into a habit of working out every day, and I can get about a month and a half, and then I get tendonitis in my elbow, or I hurt my back, or it's tax season like it is right now, and I literally need to be at work 18 hours a day, and like there's all these things that are getting in the way of me accomplishing that goal. And I got two options. One, I can just completely forget it altogether and be like, dash it all,
Yeah.
or two, I can literally build up energy and go at it again and go at it again and go at it again. Like when I quit tobacco, right? I used to dip Copenhagen. Okay. In order to do that, I spent a massive amount of time in prayer. I asked the Lord to take it from me every day for years. Okay. A couple years. Okay. And then I would quit. Okay. And I'd be like, hey, okay, I'm not going to buy it anymore. Boom, boom, boom. And I'd get like a weekend and then I'd go get it. Okay. And a couple things I wouldn't do is I wouldn't beat myself up over the relapse. I wouldn't treat myself terribly. I wouldn't be like, "Oh, you're a POS," you don't like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that. I would just hit the relapse, go through it, build up the energy again, drop it again. I must have quit a dozen times in 2 years. And then one day, the Lord took it, and I haven't dipped since. And I was actually was tempted to the other night. I was at a buddy's house, and he still dips, and like there was a strong pull.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord, didn't do it. Proud of myself, actually, to be
That's
honest with you.
interesting too, because
Um,
I think that also during that time of like the relapses, you were building the strength little by little
that's what
to
I'm
not
saying.
relapse the next time.
Exactly. So you just got to keep doing it and just try it. Fail, that's fine. Try it again. Fail, that's fine. Try it again. Fail, that's fine. Try it again. Keep going back. Like if you anything you want to accomplish, you got to keep going back. Are things going to get in the way? Is the enemy going to throw barriers, so on and so forth? Sure. Move the barrier out of the way, go it again. Move the barrier out of the way, go it again.
Yeah. Fail harder.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Take the mirror out in front of you and focus on your goal and just run at it. And if you get knocked down, get your butt up and run at it again. We really have to get out of self. We really have to get out of self. Like we sit there and we talk a lot about ourselves. But
Yeah.
there's a difference between looking at a mirror and looking at goals. There's a difference between leading a life going from pleasure to pleasure to pleasure to pleasure and leading a life that goes from goal to goal to goal to goal. You
So what's
know,
the right balance between pleasure and goal?
man, I have no idea, to be honest with you. I mean,
Because I mean, too much pleasure would just be hedonism. But if you're only goal oriented, then you're not very self reflective.
okay, so I would 100% agree with you, and I think that just the level of pleasure matter. I mean, I think pleasure is something that you need to develop, right? You need to chasten. You need to like you don't need to let pleasure run wild. Okay, like the first bite of food has the same pleasure in it as the last. Gluttony is just continuing to do that until it hurts, right? Until
Yeah.
it's over, whatever. And like that's not pleasure. So like if you allow any pleasure to run amok, you will find yourself not in a good place. So I think the right balance is really like developing your pleasure to savor, things and making your pleasure quality things, family.
Yeah. Take pleasure in the good things.
Take pleasure in the good things. Don't take pleasure in the things that destroy. So I think you definitely need to work on that, right? But rest is different than pleasure, you know? Like that, I guess that's also my point to the inventory. Like how much time are you spending becoming your best self versus how much time are you spending ignoring yourself, or how much time are you spending complaining about your circumstances, or how much time are you spending, like what are you doing with your time?
Yeah. That's a difficult balance too, because when you do want to improve yourself, it does require self reflection. But sometimes that self reflection can turn into um it's a rumination, and now you're just kind of going through the loop of like, I could have done this better, could have done that better, could have done this better, could have done that better, and
Well,
you
you have
keep
to
going
you
in
have
that
to start from
direction.
a place that recognizes that I'm an imperfect being just getting better. So you gotta get over guilt and shame. You have to get over guilt and shame. So, and that's actually a great wisdom of the week right there. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So let's and we'll continue this in our part two episode. But wisdom of the week is whatever you feel guilty or ashamed of, if you really want to tackle that, it's very important to basically forgive yourself of that and turn away from the thing that it is you're doing. Okay. I felt terrible about continuing to use tobacco. And I didn't like it. People didn't like it. You're spitting, you're doing all this nasty, like it's ruining my teeth. I'm gonna get mouth cancer. And so there's all this negative energy. I just felt, like and not being able to quit. It was just bad. But you gotta keep going back. You gotta forgive yourself. You gotta let go. So get rid of the guilt and the shame. Go through that process and then focus on what it is that you're trying to accomplish and just run after it until you get there.
Heard it here first, folks. Till the next time, and make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. See ya.